Like, that's not...
But then other people are completely saying that they're okay with that too. Like, people have admitted that, like, oh, they support that too.
Yeah,
So it's like you have both sides of contrast.
It's hard because Karl Popper pointed out that in order to have a tolerant society, you want to tolerate all viewpoints, but you can't tolerate viewpoints that are themselves intolerant. You can't allow Nazis a seat at the table because Nazis want to kill other people because of their beliefs or ethnicity. So you have to say, that's the only thing we don't let happen. Everybody has the freedom of speech, not people who advocate that kind of violence against other people. And he called it the paradox of tolerance. The paradox of tolerance is you have to be tolerant of everything except intolerance. Because intolerance, the Nazis will use your tolerance of their behavior to get a seat at the table and then ruin it for everyone. And it's like, kind of, you're right. Like, kind of, you have to say to people who are like white supremacists, it's like, no. Like, everybody can say what they want, but not, you can't advocate killing black people. You can't advocate for that kind of stuff. You can't do that.
Yeah, skinheads.
Yeah, and like some skinheads, like they came out of the punk and the metal scene, but like they got a disturbingly high interest in, you know, in Nazism and stuff. And it's like, I studied Nazis in college. I've read hundreds of books on the Nazis. I don't want anything to do with a Nazi. Like a person who's like, Hitler wasn't so bad. It's like, there's no place in our society for you. You don't. The best thing for that person would be to shot and dumped in a lake. And I mean, I support free speech as much as the next guy, but like, you got to draw a line, and the line is Nazis, as it turns out. So,
Yeah.
like.
Have you heard of Sesame Credit?
Hmm.
It's basically like credit that's used against you in a government society. I believe it's in China, like basically where like if you talk bad against the government, you get a bad score, and then I can't associate with you, and if I do, I get
scores. Yeah, and
Sesame Credit.
You go to get
to try to fly.
Yeah, I've never heard it called that, but yeah, the Economist has been running ads. The British newspaper that I read has been running articles about it because they think it's totally fucked up.
Well, it's on Wikipedia, Sesame Credit. When I looked it up.
I haven't heard it called that. I'll look it up. But they ran a whole thing about how they have all these CCTV cameras. They get all this data about you. They collect this score about you. And like you said,
it slows down your internet. You're not allowed to look at certain stuff.
Then you go to fly on a plane, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, no, your score's too low." Or you get a loan, you start a business, and they won't let you. And it's like, it's complete. The scary thing about China is everybody thought when the technology got good, the Chinese would chill the hell out with this totalitarian bullshit. But it turns out that they just got really good at using the technology to enforce it. And now the government tracks everything you do. They have this giant file. They can swipe your ID card and bring up all this information about you, and they'd be like, "Man, you've been looking at some websites you should be looking at. You've been tweeting some things you don't need to be doing. So we're going to go ahead and watch you. We're going to go ahead and follow you around or snoop on your internet or whatever."
Yeah.
And that's like that's scary as shit. Everything you do is going in a government database somewhere, and they could look you up.
In some aspects, that's happening here too.
The only thing our government doesn't do is collect the data as rigorously, and you can fight it a little better in court. But yeah, the police do the thing where they have the fake cell phone tower, and when your phone will act funny. And it'll be connecting to a tower, drop calls, connect and reconnect. What it is they have this fake tower that they turn on, and all the cell phones are automatically programmed to try to connect to the nearest tower so that you get the best signal. And what it does is it'll connect to that. They'll get a bunch of data from your phone, and then it'll just drop you because it's not a real tower. And then they can get a list of everybody who's in the area. They get a list of everybody's phone, and that way they can say, hey, a car was broken into, or somebody was robbed, or someone was murdered, and your phone pinged on our fake tower at 20 minutes before and 20 minutes after. That's funny.
Oh, wow.
And that's some bullshit. They shouldn't be able to do that. That's basically no different than taking a picture of you in a public place and saying, well, a car was broken into in the parking lot, and here's a picture of you walking out of the building 10 minutes before. And they caught a guy for a drug deal. They used cell phone towers to catch him, and they said your cell phone was in a mile of these 3 towers around the time that this drug deal happened and people were murdered or whatever. And the Supreme Court was like, no, I don't think you can do that without a warrant. I think you got to get a warrant from the phone company to be able to get that kind of data. And the DEA or somebody was flying planes over cities with the fake cell phone towers in them, and just flying over and collecting a list of everybody's cell phone and of course you can't print the list out.
Yeah.
They just keep it on a computer and just search it. They get a warrant for your name, and they're like, let's run her name through the thing and see what we get. Was she in Cleveland on Tuesday, or where was she traveling around? And the first time the NSA collected data, they collected bulk data on people in the 90s, and they basically invented a search engine. And they get the lawyer from the Judge Advocate General in there, and he comes in, and they say, this is the deal, we've got this huge data file of all the people who post on the internet, all these internet websites, and you can't really look at it because it's like the entire library. You gotta search for the thing that you want. But if we got a warrant for someone, we could get their name, we could plug it into the thing, and then any website associated with them would pop up, any post they made on the internet, or emails they sent, or anything. And the Judge Advocate General guy shit his pants, and he said, you gotta fucking destroy this. You gotta take this computer apart, smash the hard drives, burn this building down. He said, this is so fucking illegal. It's the Fourth Amendment. You blew it up. You can't do this. You can't collect it. They're like, well, we don't look at the data until we get a warrant. They're like, you still collect it. You still have it. It's still on this computer. And of course, 2 years ago, found out the NSA just did it. Just under the Bush administration, the Obama administration, they just did that. They just collected.
Well, you know that they're doing that right now. Like Google is collecting everybody's cookies.
Yeah,
and they're keeping track of everyone that's stealing music, and they're gonna probably come back and and make people pay up.
That was always the thing that the RIA, the record industry, did. They would come to you and be like, hey, you downloaded a bunch of stuff off Kazaa and Napster, and we're gonna sue you for $40 gajillion. And on the other hand, it's like there's no way to do that. There's no way to track every teenage kid. Well, now they can. Yeah. And now they're going to come back and send you a bill or make you delete it or something. Yeah, and that's really, or they'll just have your computer not able to do that. And now we don't have net neutrality. They could just make it so that when you try to go to a website that is not a website that they like, it just won't work, it won't load.
You know, it's funny, like I actually had this virus or like this weird thing that happened on my computer where only Google-owned websites would load, like Facebook, YouTube. It was weird. I had to like reset the router and do all this weird stuff, but I just thought it was really weird.
That's net neutrality.
And it happened on 2 different computers too. It was something really creepy.
The rule about net neutrality was that the internet providers could not segregate content. So if you go to Comcast and you connect your computer to Comcast, they couldn't. All they had to do was give you internet. They couldn't look at what you were doing because it's not like the water company where water's water. Internet's not always the same because Comcast owns TV networks. So when you watch video, they don't want you to watch Netflix. They want you to watch Comcast on demand. But they weren't allowed to do anything about that, right? Well, now that net neutrality is gone, Comcast could decide that they don't want Netflix to work on Comcast. And so if you log on to your Comcast computer from Comcast,
it's monopoly, man.
Netflix won't load. It just won't work. They already did it a couple years ago, and they extorted Netflix to the tune of a couple $2 billion a year to get them, because there was a month where Netflix wouldn't work for Comcast subscribers. It wouldn't do HD, wouldn't stream fast enough, and Netflix paid out. And so now they could just, there's no law saying they can't do that. They could just decide only websites we like will work unless you pay extra or not at all. And we just will put you in the slow lane for stuff we don't like and the fast lane for stuff we like.
They already do that with the algorithm through Facebook and stuff like that. Like there's certain trigger words that you can't say that, like I don't know if you post something intelligent, like a lot of times, like you notice that like that won't get like a lot of likes. But if you post like a puppy, it gets like 5,000 likes. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
so they're kind of like censoring.
There's this complicated algorithm that determines what posts show up, and Facebook's always said that it's proprietary or whatever, but on the other hand, it could very well be very simple, and it's just what they don't like doesn't show up, and what they do like does. And look at the proliferation of fake news before the 2016 election, where literally the most bullshit stuff appeared on the internet and went all over Facebook. In Hillary Clinton's hiding pneumonia, the Pope endorsed Donald Trump. None of that shit was true, and yet Facebook didn't have a problem propagating it. PolitiFact is putting out like essays about how all this shit's fake. Like here's an interview with the Pope where he says, "No, I don't endorse Donald Trump," and like that didn't go viral. That didn't, for some reason, that wasn't able to be transmitted as quickly through Facebook. Maybe it was just because people share stuff more. Maybe it's impossible to know if Facebook's nefarious because they won't tell us.
Seems like framework. Like it's just like it's like controlling our minds, or like only letting us see hidden in plain sight type stuff.
It's a little alarming because there's people look at the amount of time people look at Facebook in a day. It's in a way the primary way people get information.
It's addicting. It's literally like the Matrix. Like I literally it's addicting. Like it's just like I'm so plugged in. Like it's like constant stimuli. Like YouTube seminars or connect with this person. Oh, gotta check this social media outlet. Oh, this website pays me, so I have to spend an hour on here. Do this, do that.
It's happened very quickly. This is the thing, because that's the alarming thing. Is it's happened all within the space.
So RFIDs, it's like we want them. We want it with us.
And we didn't have time to really figure out how this was going to play out, because it's not like we had like 2, 3, 4, 5 decades to be like.
But I feel like they did.
Or the people that built it they didn't give a shit about. If you're Mark Zuckerberg, nobody ever sat down with him and was like, we really got to worry about how this Facebook thing's going to affect people. It's like, I don't give a shit. I want to make money. I don't care. And so the people that probably should have cared about it didn't, and nobody else really had the time to figure it out. And now here we are. Everybody looks at Facebook every 2 seconds. And guess what? A bunch of fake shit probably helped get Donald Trump elected, which has real consequences. And it's like, Mark Zuckerberg's response was, oh well. oh well, holy shit, bro. Like a guy's president probably because your platform is used to spread flat out lies, and that's not oh well. Like what if he starts a nuclear war with North Korea, which that people die, and is oh well. Yeah, I mean, that's some scary shit. And my brother-in-law is big into this because he's interested in virtual reality, which he thinks is the scariest thing ever, because then you can literally train people's brains and beam images directly into their eyes and learn exactly what makes people interested and not. And Facebook owns Oculus Rift, the company that makes virtual reality hardware, which is, on the one hand, they buy everything. On the other hand, like, I don't want Facebook deciding, I don't want them. How much more terrible would ads be when they're literally...
Well, did you not see what Facebook did? Facebook released a video of where they they did a test on people on, like, they controlled on one person's feed, they put all sad shit.
Yeah.
And then on someone else's feed, they put all happy stuff.
Yep. And that, like, that literally affected people's... I'm going that way if you're going that way. That, like, affected people's moods. Like, the people who got the negative feeds reported, like, being sad.
You act like that's not going on, or like I think that's happening all the time. We're being plugged constantly.
I remember a friend of my friends says they opted out of Facebook. It's kind of like, I don't know. But the longer it goes on, the less I think that's a dumb idea.
Well, they're definitely collecting data on everybody, no matter what, like doxing every single person.
Well, the Europeans passed the European General Data Privacy Regulation, which basically says that if your company collects data on people, you have to store the data, you can't give it to anybody else, and you have to let people access it and decide what they do with it. And all the tech companies are like, holy shit, we're ruined. But it's like, yeah, but if you don't do some shit like that, we have no control over any of this. You have no idea what Google knows about you. And I mean, you look for books on Amazon, and then you go to some other website, and it'll pop up ads for that book. And like, everybody's got like a story like that. Like, I Googled, cucumber recipes. And
Stop it. My dad's just talking about this too. Except it also works with just your thoughts, dude. I don't know if you've seen, maybe it's CNN, I don't know, whatever, 60 seconds or something like that. They did a segment on mind reading.
Yeah.
How, like, literally they can read, like, there's machines that can do this. And then, like, you can think about something, and then suddenly, yeah, you'll be suggested on Facebook, like, oh, look into this for your sailboat, or this for that. You're like, oh, I was just thinking about that. That's so weird.
It's so weird. And Facebook's
or Quora.
like,
I don't know if Quora suggests you certain questions.
Yeah.
It's like they know stuff before you know stuff.
Well, and if you go on Quora and make an account, it knows what you tell it. But if you go on Quora and link it with your Facebook account, then it'll mine your Facebook and be like, hey, she like posts a lot about soccer, so I'll send her questions about, can you answer this guy's question about soccer?
Yeah.
Or whatever. And so it's a little alarming. And
but they, just like you're talking about how the eye pays attention thing, like, have you noticed that, like, a lot of like memes, or I don't know if they're going, but like how you're like, yeah, how they're moving now and they last for 15 seconds, like a picture, like they're seeing. Yeah.
I mean, it's
definitely messing with people.
It's really weird because you watch the TV, but you can turn the TV off of the house. Our smartphones live in our pocket. They gather all this information about us. They're all connected to the internet. And you can get the thermostat, you can get your house, you can get your TV, all of it connected to like Alexa. And then Google said, as Amazon said, Alexa was recording people's voices, so they built a library of speech to make the speech recognition better. Which it makes sense. That's how you teach the computer to get better. But on the other hand, like, it was recording people's voices without their consent. So, like, there's a whole file somewhere in Google's headquarters of endless conversations of people, and maybe they're just mining it for pronunciation of the word I or whatever to learn accents and stuff.
The principle.
But, like, then again, maybe that intimate conversation I had with my wife is sitting on a server somewhere, and some Google engineers are listening to us make out or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little fucking weird, because my wife wanted one. Because she wants to put the lights in the TV on it. And I was like, I don't really know that I fucking want Google eavesdropping in my house.
They already are, though.
Probably.
It's like everywhere. Like, that's how they're making it. One world order, right? Like, that. This is something it's a mass agenda. Like, what they're showing on television here is not just being shown here in America. I mean, it's like, it's Elon Musk's, like, brain gate. Like, they're trying to put everyone's consciousness into the same thing.
I mean, like I said, I want a giant robot body, but then again, like, I don't know I would be comfortable. Then again, if someone else designs your giant robot body and they put you in it, would you have control over it, or do they? Because they designed it, they built it, and they,
There's other levels too, though. If you knew that you could stay in your body forever if you just drink children's blood, would you do that?
Probably. I mean, living forever sounds like now, of course, like, are we killing the children, or
well, duh. Yeah, we need their adrenochrome. We gotta get it from the back of their heads.
Oh, okay, well,
and we gotta scare them a lot first. We get, like, that extra energy.
This is some deep shit now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.